Lately, I've been getting kind of sick of the way I've been living. And not in a super dramatic, I'm gonna change my life overnight kind of way, but I reached this point where every day felt like I was just reacting to whatever I came up. I go to work, come home exhausted, scroll on my phone, and maybe draw for a little bit if I had the energy, and then wonder where all my time went. And then I realized I actually had more time than I thought. I just wasn't being intentional with it. And before everyone thinks this is going to turn into one of those productivity videos where I tell you to wake up at 5 a.m., take an ice bath, and then optimize every second of your day, it's really not that. Because I don't think being productive means squeezing every ounce of work out of yourself. If anything, I think that's the fastest way to burn yourself out. For me, being productive just means making the time for things that genuinely matter to me. My health, my faith, my art, my relationships. Those are the things that I don't want to keep saying I'll get to when I have the time. Because the truth is, there's never going to be a perfect time. This is something I've been working on since the beginning of this month because I started realizing I was wasting a lot of my time simply by not organizing it. I won't sit here and pretend I've had everything figured out for years. I've actually only been doing this for about 3 weeks, but even in that short amount of time, I've noticed it's motivated me to build healthier habits and be more intentional with how I spend my day. I wanted to share what's been working for me so far in case it inspires you to start building a routine of your own. And I'm definitely still figuring things out, so if you have any tips or routines that have helped you, I'd love to hear them in the comments as well. One problem I ran into was that most routine advice just didn't work for my life. I have a pretty inconsistent work schedule, and some days I'm working super early in the morning, and other days I don't even start until the afternoon and won't go home until after midnight. There's no version of my life where I can wake up at exactly 6 a.m. every morning and follow the same schedule every day. So instead of trying to force myself into this perfect hour-by-hour routine, I made a checklist. Instead of saying at 7 a.m. I'll do this, I started saying, these are the things I want to accomplish today. It didn't matter what time or what order I did them in. I just wanted to make sure I was moving toward the life I actually wanted. And weirdly enough, that tiny shift made staying consistent so much easier because I stopped failing every time my schedule changed. Around the same time, I started reading The Artist's Way, and honestly, I couldn't put it down. It's technically a 12-week program, but I ended up reading most of it in just a couple of days because the advice it was giving was just so good. The book was written by filmmaker Julia Cameron, and it's all about recovering from creative burnout and reconnecting with your creativity. I definitely want to make a whole video talking about it because there's just so much in there that helped me, but one thing she has you do is called the morning pages, and it's basically 3 pages of non-stop writing. No editing, no overthinking, you just write whatever comes to mind, and it doesn't have to be profound, it doesn't even have to make sense. It's almost like clearing out all the noise in your head before you start your day. When I first heard about it, I thought 3 pages every day, that's kind of a lot, but I decided to give it a shot, and honestly, I remember on my first day, I was like, can I go over 3 pages, because look, I have so much to write. Some days I would write things I'm stressed about, what I'm frustrated about, what I'm grateful for, and sometimes it's literally just random thoughts, but having a place to dump everything that's sitting in my head has made such a huge difference in me mentally. And I'm not gonna lie, I had to take a break from writing the morning pages just because my fingers cramped up, so I think I'll just type them out or do 1 page a day. I think it's honestly because of the way that I write, so I'm gonna have to get back on that, but it's giving your brain permission to stop carrying around everything all day, and just putting it out physically on a piece of paper really helps me mentally. I also decided there were a couple of other things I wanted to prioritize. I added going back to the gym into my routine, and I also started reading my Bible every day. The gym was especially important because I hadn't gone in over a month, and if you had seen any of my other videos, I think it was the Don Hung and Blade one that I drew. I talked about getting surgery, and recovering from that was honestly one of the lowest points I had in a while, but it was also weirdly nice for me because I had an excuse to not do any work at all, and physically I just wasn't feeling like myself, so I decided to add the gym into one of my priorities for my routine. Mentally, I wasn't really feeling like myself either, so getting back into taking care of my body felt less about fitness and more about finally feeling healthy again. Now, it's still work in progress, and I'm not crushing crazy workouts every single day. I'm not out here benching 350 pounds. No, that's not gonna be me. But just showing up again to the gym just feels like a win, and it's something that I can do every day. Sometimes I don't even go for like my full hour. Sometimes I'm just there for 30 minutes if I have a really busy day. But I really make it a point to show up for myself every day so that I can tell myself like, hey, like, I'm on my side. But yeah, it's just something that I genuinely look forward to every day. And also reading the Bible has been another huge change for me. I think growing up as a Christian, like, I have always like heard of these stories, but I've never read it like all like in one. So I'm like starting from the beginning, and I'm just like reading it as I go, maybe for like 20-30 minutes a day. But it's helped to slow my thoughts down. It reminds me of things that are actually important, and it strengthens my relationship with God in a way that I wasn't making time for before. So I've noticed that when I start my day with things that actually ground me, everything feels a little bit easier to handle. If you're not religious though, like, I totally get it. Like, I'm just sharing what works for me, and I know it's worked for a lot of other people too. So if anything, I'm just saying keep an open mind to it. Maybe it'll change your life too. But yeah, if you don't want to add this to your routine, girl, you don't have to. Okay, it's just me. It's just what works for me. What surprised me the most is that making time for these things didn't take time away from my art. It actually gave me more room for it. Which sounds kind of backwards, and I always used to think if I want to draw more, I just need to spend more hours drawing. But what I've realized is that when I'm mentally exhausted, those extra hours aren't very productive anyway. I stare at the canvas, I overthink everything, I lose motivation halfway through. Taking care of myself outside of art has made the time I do spend drawing feel so much more intentional. I'm less distracted, and I'm more excited to create. And I'm not constantly fighting my own brain just to get started. It's only been about 3 weeks since I've been doing this routine, and I'm not going to pretend this routine completely transformed my life overnight. I don't suddenly have everything figured out. I'm definitely still learning, and I still have days where I don't feel like doing any of it. But even after these 3 weeks, I already feel different. I'm starting to feel healthier again, and my mind feels lighter because I have somewhere to process everything instead of bottling it up. I'm spending more time with God every day instead of only when I remember. And I actually feel excited to see what happens if I keep doing these little things for months just instead of days or even weeks. Because I think that's the part that people underestimate. Real change isn't usually one of massive decision. It's a bunch of tiny decisions that you repeat long enough for them to become who you are. It's like that 1% rule where if you do like 1%, I think it's like that. Looking, I'm just like making it up at this point, but it's like if you do 1% better like every day, then you'll definitely see like positive impact in your life. And I'm not gonna sit here and then say that I've gone to the gym every single day and that I've been writing the morning pages all day, every day. Definitely there had to be like some days where I had to skip the gym because I think I was doing it too much. Like, I went like 8 days straight and I was like, okay, like my legs like started hurting and I was like, I actually need a break. And also with the morning pages, like my fingers started like cramping, so I was like, I don't want to overwork my finger. But definitely like I needed to take a break, and I think I like just went in too hard, which is like my problem. But definitely like finding that balance between like taking a break and actually sticking to the routine, I think that's important as well. But I think we spend so much time waiting until we're motivated, waiting until we have the perfect schedule, waiting until life slows down, waiting until next week or next Monday to start, next month or next year. But most of us don't need a completely different life. We just need a slightly better today. One thing that I've also realized is that routines aren't really about checking boxes. They're about becoming the kind of person you want to be. Every time I sit down and write my morning pages, go to the gym, read the Bible, or make time for art, I'm casting a vote for the person I want to become. And even if I don't do everything perfectly, I know I'm still moving in the right direction. I think that's a much healthier way to look at growth than constantly focusing on results. I also had to stop expecting myself to feel motivated every single day. There have already been mornings where I've looked at my checklist and thought, I really don't feel like doing any of this today, or I don't really feel like reading the Bible, or I don't really feel like going to the gym. But I've learned that consistency isn't built on the days when you're excited. It's built on the days when you don't feel like showing up, but you decide to anyway. Those are usually the days that matter the most. So I tell myself when I feel like I don't want to go to the gym, if it's not a rest day and I have to go to the gym that day, I'll be like, this is a crucial point to determine whether or not I am applying that 1% rule to my life. And usually that kicks in the motivation to go about going to the gym that day. And something that surprised me was how much confidence comes from keeping small promises to yourself. It isn't about doing something huge, it's about telling yourself you're gonna do one thing and actually do it. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, oh, I want to start this, or I want to start doing this, and then like never have. And then I think that just like kind of makes me like an enemy to myself, because I'm like promising myself things that I'm never actually going to do for myself. So over time, building trust with yourself, you stop questioning whether you're capable because you've already proven to yourself over and over again that you can follow through. I don't think confidence magically appears. I think it's earned through little moments like that. And I also want to remind you, and honestly remind myself, that it's okay if your routine looks different from everyone else's. I started with only 3 things, and I plan to add more in the future, but I just want to get a feel of the routine first and not overwhelm myself by adding all these like other steps to it. Social media has a way of making it seem like there's one right morning routine or one perfect schedule, but your routine should fit your life and not someone else's. The goal isn't to copy another person's habits. The goal is to build a life that helps you become healthier, happier, and more intentional. At the end of the day, I don't think I'm chasing productivity anymore. I think what I'm really chasing is peace. I want to end my days knowing that I made time for the things that matter most, instead of wondering where all my time went, either doom scrolling or just looking at other people's lives, honestly. And if I can keep doing that, even imperfectly, I'll know I'll be in a much better place a year from now than if I never started at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is like a longer video, and also tell me if I ate with this dead note piece, because I really like it. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.